That's all set. Now, why don't you look around and see the people you're sitting next to and around and say hello to them, and perhaps say hello to somebody you've never said hello to before. Who's today's practitioner? Is it Leslie?
Yes.
Leslie Gianetti. Come on in. People are still coming in the door. You're welcome. In fact, that's my job, to welcome you. So come on in. So where you've arrived today is called the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. And it's part of a movement of services that are going on right now throughout the world called religious science. And what are we learning about? Science of mind. So there's the organization, and we're here to study science of mind and to share ourselves with each other. So now we're going to sing a chant or a song. And after that, we'll have the wise words of our practitioner of the day, Leslie Gianetti, and on from there.
On from there. So, special this morning besides just stand, and this is not about changing your seats. I'm Reverend Mary Shelton, by the way. Good morning to those of you who are new. You'll hear more about that later. But what I'd like you to do is, because the theme today is circulation, I would like you to actually stand up and walk around and greet each other. You can go right back to the seat you're in this morning, but I'd like you to circulate around and say good morning to people who aren't near you. And introduce yourself to somebody you haven't seen for a while. Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Woo! Good morning. How are you, Rachel? Good to see you this morning. Yeah. Oh, this is wonderful. I love this. Oh, you just did that extremely well. Hello. Good morning. Mwah. Good morning. You did that so well. Wow. I'm very impressed with that. That was really great circulating. All right. So now from unruly to ruly, I'm going to invite you to stand up. And this is a song that you know well. So for everybody that doesn't know it, sing it out so they can get it. All right? Here we go. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, Oh, thank you. Very nice. You may be seated. Wonderful.
Love is what we are made of. Love is what we belong to. Love.
Love is our deepest prayer, the song of the heart, the rhythm of the universe. And I bring my full recognition to the one infinite life, which is an infinite process of creation. The one infinite life continuously creates out of itself. As it moves upon itself, it takes the form of its creation. And each one is a resident in the continuum of this exquisite creation. The infinite life created each one in order to act through each one. And this is the truth of being, that each one is a center in the eternal wholeness. So I speak my word and I claim an opening in consciousness for each one, for a greater, deeper receptivity to the life within. The divine order circulating through each one, unfolding itself through each one, assimilating itself in and through all circumstances. This is what it does. And it casts out all fear, and it replaces it with the expectancy of approaching good. And there is always more good in the infinite creative life principle. So I accept for each one in this moment an opening to allow for the greatest expression of the fullness and wholeness of being, which is the divine inheritance of each one. And I celebrate this life within each one, and I bless it. And I call forth a greater expression of this life in and through each one, in and through all of creation. And I pour forth my thanksgiving right now for the opening that takes place in consciousness and which allows for a demonstration of the truth of being, the truth of increasing good in expression, in life, in the heart. And I release my word to the law of mind, which envelops my word as a new creation and brings it into manifestation right now in this moment and always. And so it is.
first time here. Kim and I met when we were 18 years old in drum class, and we used to drum, African drum together, and I won't say when that was, but it was a long time ago. And so we're finally reconnecting after all these years, and he has taken the art of drumming to a really high level. We're coming back together and we're playing together, and so today is the first time we've played together in a long time. But we're going to do a little shamanic journey for you. So take a deep breath, put on your shamanic seat belt, and we're going to go on a little journey together.
Thank you, Buddy and Kim. Ooh, my goodness. I am alive this morning. Oh, is that me? Yeah, that's me. Let me change that. Is that better? Yes, I seem to be less scratch. I'm not even doing anything. Am I? Oh, it must be back here. Is it not there? What am I doing? It seems okay? All right, we'll try it again. Okay, now? Seems okay. All right, good. Yes, good morning. I'm the shimmying minister up here at the front, Reverend Mary Shelton. I am the senior minister and community spiritual leader here at Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Delighted to welcome you all this morning. Thank you all for being here. If you're with us for the first time this morning, Maria is up here as our welcome, and so is Suzanne, as our welcome team members. And they've got a packet of information for you that's got info about us, and it also has a blue card in it. If you're new here today and you fill out the blue card and take it to the welcome table right back behind this side, you'll get this little book for free. This is our gift to you, What Religious Science Teaches. It's a little bit about what we believe here, so that can give you a sense of what's going on. And you can also get on the email list so you know other things and so on and so forth. And so the only thing that is required of you to receive the packet this morning is to give these gals a wave. Just, hello, I'm here for the first time, good morning. And they will come and bring you one. Don't be shy. If you're here for the second time and you never got one, you know, wave. Sometimes people come, but they don't want to do it the first time because they're just not sure. And we never follow people home, particularly not the first time. So, reminds me of seeing Steel Magnolias where one of the characters says to Daryl Hannah, I suppose you'd end up making me sacrifice a chicken or something, you know, because she belongs to this fundamentalist group. And Daryl Hannah very quickly says, not on your first visit, which I loved. All right, thank you, all of you. We are on a journey with the rest of Centers for Spiritual Living, 100 years of science of mind. So we've been focusing on our journey through science of mind this year because it's been 100 years since our founder, Ernest Holmes, published his first book. And each month we've had similar themes that we've shared, although this last few months, because we're involved in our 8-week commitment program, we are doing our own kind of thing with these 3 months. And so this morning we're moving into November, and in November our focus is on the power of action. And I love this. There's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. It's, you know, it's very rare that we get shortcuts into success. It happens gradually. And so today my theme is dare to circulate more good. Dare to circulate more good. Now, how many of you would like more good in your lives? Excellent, me too. And one of the things that I recognize about more good, more anything we want to welcome into our lives, is that it requires change, and it requires us to change. So whatever we want to make space for more of in our lives, we have to shift into something different. This lady had a couple of parrots that had been given to her, a couple of female parrots, but these female parrots had lived in a bordello. And so, you know, anytime any gentleman came to her house, the parrots would say, hi there, handsome, want to have a good time? And so she was embarrassed, you know, well, you would be, right? So she went to her priest and she said, I need a prayer here because I don't know what to do to help these parrots that have been, you know, imprisoned in this bordello because they're just making suggestive comments and it's so embarrassing. And he says, don't worry, I know exactly what you need to do. I myself have a couple of male parrots that I have taught to pray the rosary. You bring your parrots over, we'll put them in the cage with my parrots will teach them how to pray the rosary. It'll be wonderful. She says, oh, Father, that would be so great. I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you so much. And with that, she went home, got her parrots, and brought them over. Now, when she comes into the priest's house, the parrots, the male parrots, are in their cage. They've got their eyes closed. They've got their rosaries, and they're singing, sitting on their little thing, and they're praying the rosary. And she brings the parrots in, and one of them whistles, and the other one says, hey, fellas, want to have a good time? And one of the parrots opens his eyes, and then he looks at the others and he says, "Frank, put away your beads. Our prayers have been answered." If you want to let more good into your life, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to put down the process, put down the past, and move forward into what change is all about. So today, I'm talking about circulation. Now, what is circulation? The word circulation originally just refers to the process of liquid moving in a closed system. So we exist in a closed system. We are physically a closed system. Our planet is a closed system. For all I know, the universe is a closed system, but I'm not positive about that. All of our galaxies and so on, our solar system, they're systems within themselves. So they benefit from circulation. So we have so many things that circulate within us, you know, oxygen, blood, energy, food, all sorts of things. But we also circulate things together. We circulate ideas. We circulate our skills and our gifts. We circulate knowledge and information. So we're putting a lot of stuff out into circulation. And what we're doing then is we're emulating the nature of nature that we see around us all the time. The only way for the planet to be healthy is for the oceans to keep moving, for the rivers to keep flowing, for the oxygen and the water to keep moving through that system. And we contribute to that, and we take from that. And that's how the circulation works. That the circulation of the whole, the health of the whole, depends upon the circulation of the parts within it. Does this make sense so far? Okay. So we circulate all these things because we're following along with the seasons and the wind. You know, I heard a story about a bunch of scientists who created a kind of a human terrarium sort of a situation where they were going to see what it would be like to create an ecosystem that was completely self-contained. And I think I've mentioned this to you before. One of the things they did not do in this big ecosystem was include wind, because they couldn't really see what they needed it for until the trees started to fall down. And what they realized was that the wind caused the roots to resist and become stronger so they could remain standing. So if they wanted anything to grow to be sizable, they needed wind. There had to be an experience of resistance in order for strength to happen. Some of you do resistance training when you go to work out, I hear. Not being a great exerciser yet myself. So in this process, our Deepak Chopra says in Creating Affluence, receiving is as necessary as giving. To graciously receive is an expression of the dignity of giving. Those who are unable to receive are actually incapable of giving. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. And A Course in Miracles very wisely puts giving into context in a different kind of way. It says, no one can give what he has not received. To give a thing requires first you have it in your own possession. Here the laws of heaven and the world agree, but here they also separate. The world believes that to possess a thing, it must be kept. Salvation teaches otherwise. To give is how to recognize you have received. It is the proof that what you have is yours. You understand that you are healed when you give healing. You accept forgiveness as accomplished in yourself when you forgive. You recognize your brother as yourself, and thus do you perceive that you are whole. There is no miracle you cannot give, for all are given to you. Receive them now by opening the storehouse of your mind where they are laid and giving them away. So it's important to circulate also ideas. One of the things about our troubles and difficulties is that when we share them with somebody else, the energy lifts on them. If you express them in art, the energy lifts on them. So when we put something out, we expand it, but we may make it easier to bear together, or of greater benefit to more when we put it out there. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, when the law of circulation is retarded, stagnation results. It is only as we allow the divine current to flow through us on and out that we really express life. Or Michael Beckwith sometimes refers to it as snagnation. Now we get snagged, you know, if we're not involved in the process of engaging in life. If we were meant to be here alone, we would be here alone, but we're not. We're here with a whole bunch of other expressions of the divine so that the circulation amongst us can take place. And so the question of circulating more good then also brings up the question of, well, then what is good? What is good, actually? So when we are in the process of sharing our gifts in a way that increases the overall good, we're doing something good. That empowers the larger number, we're doing something good. Are you with me here so far? Now, there's nothing wrong with doing something that empowers us. Ernest Holmes says if you want something in your life that benefits you and harms none, there's no reason why you shouldn't have that. There's no reason why you shouldn't have that. And when what we do multiplies good for people beyond ourselves, what happens is we create a kind of synergy together. And our synergy, our activity together, has a cumulative effect that is more than the sum of the parts. Does this make sense? So, for example, if you sing in a choir, you might find that the sound that comes out of the choir is better than if you just added all those individuals together. Something in the unity of the group lifts the vibration of the whole group and improves the overall result, even though if you heard every single person sing individually, you might not think you were going to get that incredible result. Does this make sense? So synergy creates a greater strength. We are interdependent. We aren't here weaving our own cloth from sheep that we raised, growing all our own food, creating the leather to make our shoes, constructing our own vehicles. We're not doing that. So if you think about yourself this morning, all of you are clothed. How many of you made everything you're wearing? How many of you even know what all the fabric is made of everything that you're wearing? Ah, that's impressive. Yeah. Where did it come from? What countries? What animals? What people raised those animals or those plants? Who planted those things? Who fed them? Who tended them? Who decided when it was time to harvest them? What process did they go through once they were harvested? Think of how many people, creatures, and things had to work together to get you dressed this morning. Really, it's mind-boggling how interdependent we are and how little we are aware of it. And yet, we as Americans are the most generous people on earth. We give more, we volunteer more, we participate more. It's part of our culture to do that in greater numbers and at a larger level than they do in Europe or anywhere else in the world. That's impressive. You know, America gets a lot of criticism, and deservedly so in some cases, but we also do a lot of good. But we do a lot of good because we cooperate together in that good. It isn't just Bill and Melinda Gates, because, yeah, they give a lot. But what they give is a small percentage of the whole amount that Americans give to charities, to churches, to organizations, to people, to whatever, to causes. And so we become more because of the community. We become more because of the community. Michael Beckwith said once, what we do with all of our resources, talent, skills, money, is made sacred or profane by the consciousness in which we use it. And then he says, the consciousness in which we give makes all the difference. Giving to manipulate the laws of prosperity is in fact spiritual materialism. Purely and freely participating in the law of circulation to support the dissemination of truth principles and services to humankind returns to us multiplied abundantly. And some years ago, Dr. Edward Viljoen, who's the minister in Santa Rosa, wrote this, and I've always kept it around because it speaks so deeply to me of the authenticity of the way in which we want to give. You know, one of the things that we teach in Science of Mind is committed giving or sacred giving as a spiritual practice. So what does that mean? It means that we recognize that the source of all the good that we receive is actually God. So it may come through all sorts of different channels, through our work, through our inheritance, through our investments, through our whatever. But the ultimate source of it all is the infinite, because it came to us from somewhere. It's going to go through us to somewhere else. There's no starting point we can point to except the one presence. And we get confused about what our source is sometimes. So for me, the process of giving reminds me, as A Course in Miracles says, that I have been blessed with something to give, but it also reminds me to be grateful for what I've been gifted with. So I bless it with that awareness to remind myself, and also to say, hey, universe, thank you. I recognize that I was given to, and I just want you to know I appreciate it. And the universe goes, oh, as Reverend Carol and Paul would say, then you shall have more. Not because I was giving to get that response, but because I was saying, hey, thank you. I recognize that I received, and so I'm going to be part of the channel of giving. So Edward said this: the spirit in which I give is far more important than the gift itself or the amount. If I give a gift of 100% of my income without love, it would be better to give something far less for which I can feel a radiating love. I've applied this idea successfully to my giving practice, starting with an amount that I could truly and joyfully set free, and then building upon that practice. See, that's a spiritual practice. The result has been that over time I developed a habit of giving I can feel good about, starting from that beginning point of giving just a little, and over time working up to a substantial amount. This process has helped me carefully examine the atmosphere in which I was giving, and it has guided me to clarity about my intentions. I have discovered there is a difference between giving for the joy of giving and giving with a hidden motive to control or influence. When I notice that in my thought, that I want anything at all in return for my gift, I call that a deal or a trade. So he's recognizing in that the power of sending out from a place of joy. Because what happens when we send out from a place of joy and gratitude and appreciation, when that's in our heart, we're already sending out increase. So that where that goes, it carries that energy with it, with that blessing. Does this make sense? You know, when we serve a meal to somebody that we've enjoyed creating for them, then every bite that they take that they enjoy is a gift to us. Well, I mean, it's so delightful to see somebody enjoy a meal that you've made for them, yes? It's as much fun as it is to eat it and to receive it yourself. So we discover, look at this wonderful thing. This is a balance. These stones are not glued together in any way. Look at these little tiny things up here. Look at this one. How does that stay there? Well, they stay there because of the brilliance of the way it's constructed, so that they rest on each other all the way down. Every one of them takes part of the work and experiences participating in this amazing thing that shouldn't be possible, at least in my mind. I'm sure engineers can explain this, but I don't really want to know. I just love to see it and be in awe of it and wonder at it. So when we're giving, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to give from joy, to give from overflow, to give from the desire to help and empower and participate. And particularly, we give upward. We give to empower something. We give to empower what we want to have expand. So one of my favorite charities is the Heifer Project. And one of the things that Heifer International does is it receives money, and it allows groups and organizations to decide where they want that money to go, what country, what animals. They give animals, or sometimes plants, to families in particular areas. And one of the requirements, I should read this to you, one of the requirements of the family is to pass on the good. So this is how it started. When American rancher Dan West was serving in Spain after the Spanish Civil War in 1944, he became frustrated at being forced to decide how to allocate the very limited rations of milk to refugees. And then the idea hit him. They don't need a cup of milk, they need a cow. West's Give Not a Cup But a Cow set the example for what would become Heifer International's sustainability model, which includes passing on the gift. Today, Heifer International gives out gifts of livestock, seeds, and trees, and extensive training to those in need. Rich Casson, the organization's media director, talked about West's original vision and how the charity is helping end poverty and hunger in a sustainable fashion. The way passing on the gift works is folks that do receive gifts of livestock are required to pass on gifts, such as the first female offspring, to another family in the community, said Rich. By passing on the gift, not only are we lifting families, but we're also helping communities get out of poverty through sustainable livelihoods. Heifer International has now helped more than 15.5 million families, 79 million people in more than 125 countries, including various African countries, Peru, Guatemala, Honduras, Haiti, and Nepal. Now, that to me is what the synergy and the interdependence of participating with a high intention create for us. So the gift is maximized because it accumulates with other gifts to benefit a larger number. It increases thriving, both of the people who are given to and also of the givers. At least that's my experience. And they're giving upward. They're not just giving to charity to give people milk. They're giving to give people cows. So this is like, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he's set as long as there are fish. So I want to segue this into our experience of making a pledge for the coming year to Golden Gate. So today, you received a handout that said, I have it somewhere, all the things that were accomplished in this past year. Oh, here it is. Yeah, creating a world, living in love, one heart and one thought at a time, 2018 activities and accomplishments. Now, one of the things I want to say about this is we are not a large center. I mean, look around. And yet, we did all this stuff this year. And it's quite a bit, really. It's easy to forget by the end of the year what was done the first quarter. But this gives you a summary of things that occurred based on what you gave in this past year. And part of it was hiring me, which I'm very grateful for. Oh, thank you. And so I want to talk with you about the vision for 2019 a little bit, because I'm going to ask you in just a few minutes to take out your pledge form. Now, so let me say this first. On Friday night, we had a thank you dinner for some of our major donors, the cornerstone givers who participate at such a high level in their giving that they lift all the rest of us up with their commitment. And they help us because they pay more than their share. They help us keep the doors open. They help us pay the salaries, pay the utilities, do everything that we normally need to do. And that's fantastic. And so I shared some of the vision with them on Friday night, and they made their commitments for 2019 in advance of all the rest of you who are invited to do that this morning. They took these very same pledge forms, and they made them out privately and turned them in. And there were 21 individuals, 6 were couples, so, you know, in terms of the number of pledges, it was 3 less than that, whatever that is, 18. And out of that 18 pledges, $120,984 has already been pledged toward 2019. Yeah. And it's thrilling and it's wonderful. Now that is about 33.5% of what we want to raise this year. We want to raise about $360,000. Here's what we want to do with that. One of the things that we want to do is to, you see this little camera right here, this little Mevo? This little thing is a camera. This little thing is going to allow us to do a variety of things, and one of them is to up-level our production value and our broadcast capability so that we can do Facebook Live things, we can do our Sunday morning talks and put them on Facebook or YouTube, put them on Facebook at a scheduled time so that people all over the world can watch at the same time and can chat with each other while it's happening. Because, you know, Bodie was just saying this morning, he's got CDs he's going to give away because, folks, CDs are going the way of the dinosaur. You know, we had records, we had 8 tracks, we had cassettes, we had CDs. Now we have MP3s. Everything is becoming digital. It's downloads and streaming, right? Well, like it or not, for those of us that grew up going to church, this kind of church probably won't last forever. There will always be those of us that really want to be together and do community. And I think this kind of meeting will continue. But there are also a lot of people throughout the world who don't come to groups like this, but who benefit from the message. Would you agree? And we want to reach them. I have a client in Hawaii that I was talking to on Friday, and she's on Maui, and she said, there's nothing here for me that's like what you do. She used to be with us in Santa Rosa years and years and years ago. She's from Hawaii originally, but she's back on Maui, been there for years. She said, there's a Unity Church here, but it doesn't quite resonate with me, and there's nothing like what you do. And I was telling her about this, that we're going to be able to do this, you know, it's coming. And she said, I want to be part of that congregation. Well, she can be. I have a friend in Australia, New Zealand, who's one of my clients and is in our practical mysticism class. She attends class on Zoom from New Zealand. You know, she would like to participate in the Sunday celebration. For her, it would be Monday, but hey. I've got an Irish friend in Spain who would like to gather a bunch of people in her living room to watch. So you see what's happening. People want to connect. They want to connect worldwide with something that speaks to them. And we could give them that. We could give them that from this room. But it's going to require some other purchases. It's going to require some time, some training, some experiments and various things. And so we've got to buy some equipment. We've got some other stuff we're going to do with that. That's one thing. We want to be more involved in the community. We want to be more involved with Marin Interfaith. We want to be more visible. So we want to be able to step up and do that. We want to be able to create increased, we've already purchased a program for our new website. Some of you have probably noticed, if you've gone to look, that our website hasn't been updated for, a year. True, a year. It's been since last October because we got locked out of it by a series of things that happened. But now we have bought a design package and a whole program to be able to create a really snappy, juicy, fabulous website. And that'll happen probably in the new year. And that will be up, which will have, I'm thinking, it will have some special places for visitors or newcomers to go where they can download some stuff for free that will help them apply what they're learning to their lives immediately. You know, how do you talk to your kids when they're driving you crazy from a science of mind perspective? How do you deal with your boss when you want to ask for a raise from a science of mind perspective? How do you cope with your sister not speaking with you anymore from a science of mind perspective? What do you do? So, you know, try this, do that, pray this, affirm that, read this, go here, see that, watch this, stuff to download. Then I want to have some pages that are available for members only that lets them go to get some deeper stuff. Because the truth is, a lot of you folks have been members for a long time. You're probably ready to take on some meatier things, and we could make a space just for members to do that. In fact, I'd like to do a retreat in the spring just for members to come and go deeper together. So all this stuff requires an increase in funding, not to mention that Ceci and Pat Malone, by the way, every single time we have any kind of a flyer, and we've got all kinds of great ones, but we have them all the time. Every time we have a flyer, like these, Pat Malone designs them. Now, Pat and Ceci, yeah. Pat and Ceci have worked for us for years. I don't know that they've ever had a raise, but it's time. And so that's one of the things we want to do. I have looked, you know, I'm speaking out of turn here, so just know this. When you go into our building, into where our office is, you go upstairs and you go down the hall and you go in this little alcove and turn left and you go into our office, right? Everybody's been there, knows what I'm talking about? Okay, so just opposite this door that goes into our office, there's another office. And I looked in there this week, and it doesn't look like there's anything in there. And I was thinking, what if that was a reception space? What if we had a place to greet people who come for an appointment or with me or a practitioner or whatever, and there was somebody there who was specifically there to greet them, to welcome them, to get them a cup of coffee, to maybe we have Science of Mind magazines out for them to read. I don't know what it would cost to rent that. It would be a place where our practitioners could see clients maybe, you know. So these are things that I would like to see us expand into. So we're looking to bring in about $360,000 this year to be able to do all these things. And I want to share one story with you before we go into the sacred pledging mode, all right? And I'd like you to listen to this from a place in your heart about making a difference. This is by Anne Lamott. My hiking friend Karen, who teaches special ed world beat dance classes to developmentally disabled people on Tuesday nights, had been urging me to come to her dance class for ages. And one night recently, my friend Neshama and I agreed to go. Neshama wanted to go because she is a lifelong dancer. She's short, 65, fuzzy hair like mine. I'm not any good at dancing, but Karen, in coyote trickster mode, got me to show up by promising I'd get to be a helper. So there I was, in dance class. There were 18 adults of every age and degree of disability in the room at the rec center. I had seen many of them before at the Special Olympics and bagging groceries at Safeway and on the streets of Marin, alone at bus stops or walking together in a crocodile of disability, gimpy, disoriented, eyes wandering. They wore the most tragically terrible clothing you could imagine. Plaids with paisleys and bright florals, like wild and crazy guys. Karen introduced Neshama and me as that evening's helpers, and everyone murmured and hummed, exclaiming, "The helpers, the helpers." They came up to shake our hands or stare at us close up with awe. You'd have thought Paula Abdul had shown up. Some of them told us their names, and several people asked if we were going to dance. Yes, Neshama responded, although I thought I might help in a more ministerial way. Karen had warned me that you had to keep your eyes on one very shy, spherical Down syndrome woman, since she'd earned a reputation for performing dances which began innocently enough and then denigrated into cartoonishly lewd strip teases. Once at Christmas time, she'd gotten down to her undies while grinding alone to Willie Nelson singing Jingle Bell Rock. But hey, who hasn't? I thought it would be like doing the hokey pokey, but there were some tricky moves. The first was a kickball change pivot, which has nothing to do with playing kickball, but is a modern dance step and is surprisingly hard. I couldn't do it right. I cheated. I just turned. So sue me. My entire childhood flashed before my eyes. Thankfully, Karen announced it was time for the electric slide, a version of a line dance you might see in bars or on reruns of Soul Train. You begin by tapping your foot 3 times, which I was good at. Excellent, really. Then the Raisin Bran scoop, where you scoop the air twice. Then some wiggles and a pivot turn. Then everyone moved forward together, pushing the air as if clearing a path, and then backing up where we started, quacking for some reason. The magnificence of the dance is in their faces. Finally, we sat down again so people could do solos or ensembles in the center of the circle. And after the solos, ensembles of 4 or 5 did the electric slide dance together. I joined in with one batch. I was great. Everyone said so. And then it was time to go. People shook our hands and thanked us. Neshama and I left feeling elated and surprisingly tired. It had only been an hour, but it was an immersion. When Karen and I were hiking a few days later, she told me that after class, one of the people had exclaimed, "I like those old ladies. They were helpers and they danced." These are the words I would want on my gravestone, that I was a helper and I danced. So this is an opportunity this morning for me to invite you in to being a helper, to joining our cornerstone givers to make your pledge to Golden Gate for 2019. And I hope that you've had a chance to prayerfully consider it before you came this morning. One of the things I want to tell you, and this is very important, on this form, there are 2 sides. This form has been designed with the requirements of our new bank in mind. So however you did your pledge in the past, you need to pretend we don't know anything about that and fill it out as thoroughly as possible, front and back if you're doing automatic giving. Even if you think we know this information, please put it down. Ceci told me, you tell them and they never do it, so please, prove me right. I said I could get you to do it, so I'm on the line here. What I'm going to invite you to do is Bodhi's going to play a little mystical background giving juicy joy for us. And what I'm going to invite you to do is, you've got this in an envelope, correct? Yeah. So when you do your pledge, then I'm going to invite you to fold it in half and put it in the envelope. You don't have to write your name on the envelope. It's all in here. This is confidential. And then during the music time, when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to come up and put your envelope in the singing bowl on the altar. Because this is a sacred practice, what we're doing, and I want to hold it that way. So we're going to go into the silence as we do this, and I want to do a prayer with you first, beforehand. So I'm going to invite you to, let's do it this way. Take this piece of paper, put it over your heart with your hands this way. We step this moment into the infinite, into the infiniteness of God, from which all things come. And we bless that which has been given to us and which comes through us to be redistributed in the world as the spiritual substance with which we've been entrusted. We know that as these pledges are made, each one is guided and directed from mind and heart and hands to give generously, to give wisely, with good stewardship, with the full intention of empowering this gift with joy, to lift up everything and everyone that comes into contact with it throughout the coming year. And we bless Golden Gate and its wisdom and stewardship and its flow of substance out into the world, so that as we take this, it is used wisely and well for celebration, transformation, and sustenance. We're grateful that this is taking place in 2019 already. So we let this bless us and bless the world, and so it is. And now I invite you to go ahead and fill out your pledge from your heart. Now, if you're here for the first time, you certainly are not required to make a pledge, so please don't freak out. Just enjoy the music. Oh, I didn't do this part yet. Maria, Maria, and Gail. Would you two come up? While this is happening, just go pass these out. While this is happening, just go pass those out. All right. Thank you, David. All right. Thank you, Bodhi and Amanda. All right, all you beautiful people.
We're not doing the offering yet, though.
No. All right. So you should have received during your process there your little commitment card for today. I dare to circulate more good. And I was just thinking I should have given you a little button that said, I pledged have you, like we do when we vote. But I didn't think about that. So I want to invite you to take this little thing. If you are committed to circulating more good, and this is as good as smiling at the person next to you, just passing on your joy, your ideas, your happiness, you're going to take the affirmation you're getting in just a minute home and put it on your poster. Now, if you never got a poster, it's not too late. There are posters back at the membership table. Get one of these this morning. Each week we've been putting our affirmation card over the top of the quality for the week, and this week we're on circulation, week 7. We only have one left. And so today we're going to take this little circulation card, put our name and the date on it. It's the 4th of November. And then we're going to receive also this affirmation. So let's give out the affirmations too. Your little commitment cards are just going to go in the offering with your normal offering. Let's see, Maria and Gail, can I have you back up here? Just take those and distribute them, and then the rest go back to the back. Okay, now you're going to put this little card in the offering basket. So hang on to that. That's going to go in with your offering. And the affirmation card then that you're going to receive, we're going to stand and say the affirmation together, but you're going to take this home and put it over here on top of the circulation word on your poster. This is the right lower half of the poster here. And so the affirmation says, I joyfully and generously give of my abundance. I receive with gracious appreciation. I am in the flow. How many of you are in the flow? Excellent. Well done. Okay, good. So, how many of you need an affirmation card? The little one I just read. How many of you need your card? Okay, it's coming. If you need them, keep your hand up so we can see which rows don't have them yet. And just hand them a stack. Gail, you don't even have to count them out. Just hand a stack and we'll collect them on the other side. And then the extras will go back to the membership table. All right. So as soon as you get yours, I'm going to invite you to stand. And right here now together, we're going to make our commitment to circulation. Oh, great. Okay. All right. Please join me in reading your little circulation affirmation that says, I joyously and generously give of my abundance. I receive with gracious appreciation. I am in the flow. And while you're standing, on behalf of Golden Gate and its future for 2019, I invite you to say this blessing with me for all of the pledges that have been given previously this morning and have yet to be given. We are one in the Spirit of God. We are one in our sacred intention to dare to be curious and courageous, to be open and to be creative. We are one in our sacred actions to make connections with others, to grow in consciousness, to circulate our good, and to celebrate. We are one in intention. We are one in action. We are one. And in oneness, we are changing the world. We're in the flow. You may be seated. And so, I kind of prayed before, but I'm going to invite the practitioners to surround the room and anchor what we've just done in consciousness with me in a brief prayer now that allows us to open to that good that we are sending out into the world. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to be open now to newness coming to you, to pay attention to newness coming to you, to invite you to stretch, to grow, to accept more good into your life. Because we do need to lovingly expand personally to include more good in our experience. Are you ready for that? Yes. Are you? Yes. Okay, good, just checking. All right. So imagine you're in a bowl of prayer right now, surrounded and filled. And I'm going to invite all the practitioners to join me in this prayer now for our community of abundance, each one, right here and now, in this chamber of prayer. So out loud, practitioners, join me in this deep, whole, perfect presence of God, I recognize and know that the source is always flowing with abundance, everywhere, every when, all the time. And it is abundantly available to every single one of us, always. So I do speak this word to dissolve all the boundaries, barriers, doubts, confusion, resistance in our consciousness that have prevented us from receiving the highest and most abundant good that is wanting to come to us individually and collectively. I know that this good is taking place within us right now. We are alchemically being changed so that this good can take root and flower and grow in every good way. And I'm deeply grateful that this is the truth. This is the truth for all of us right now, right here. I'm grateful I let this word go. I let it be, and so it is. And so it is. Thank you. Practitioners, you may be seated.
Would the ushers please come forward? Got it. Got your stuff? Okay. If this is your first time here, your presence is your gift to us. We invite you to come back again soon. For the rest of us, please take your pledge card, your offering, your circulation card, your dare card, place it over your heart, and we'll say this blessing together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one love at a time, and so it is. Would you go receive the gifts? Put your pledge card and your dare cards and all of the above. I am your light. I am the light. I am the light in this world. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light. You are a light. You are the light in this world. You are the light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. And you shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright.
And so we do, all of us here, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, receive the gifts this morning with gratitude, and we know that they shine with a beautiful light that blesses everyone who comes in contact with them. And so it is.
So it is.
Oops, I want to go back. We are grateful for Laurel, who did this wonderful altar this morning for circulation. We are grateful for Leslie and Gail and David Selzer, as well as Laurel, and all the practitioners who are available for prayer this morning here at the prayer table. We're grateful for Kim playing the barbecue this morning over here. You did a fabulous job, Bodie and Amanda. For Jim Homa, who sets up the room and ran sound this morning. For everybody over here on the AV team this morning, Ron and Tom and Ceci and Arthur. And I want to especially thank all of you because it's very late. And you know why it's very late? It's because... What? Oh, you didn't change the time? Well, that's okay. It's even later than you thought, yeah. But I didn't run that long, you know. I mean, yeah, my watch says it's an hour later too. So I have announcements, and there are things that people want to share with you, and I hope that you have the elbow room and the graciousness to be able to hang out with us a little bit longer. So first, I want to do a very special acknowledgement. Barbara, would you come up? Today is Partnership Sunday. Reverend Dr. Barbara Leger. Reverend Dr. Barbara Leger won an award this year. She won an award from Association for Global New Thought, a Walden Award, and she won it specifically for exemplary contribution to promoting the importance of and demonstrating a commitment to interfaith and intercultural understanding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Her center in Ukraine is now 17 years old, is that right?
Uh-huh.
Can you believe that? 17 years old. And I found out something you may not know about the word temenos, which is the name of the Ukraine Center for Spiritual Living. Temenos is a word that means a place that is set aside for God. So temenos is a place set aside in Ukraine for God, in the midst of whatever else it looks like is going on. So Barbara wants to tell you a little bit about what they're up to this morning.
And you know, we can't use the word God in Ukraine, so we use the Greek meaning of temenos, which is really like that. It's a space where people take sanctuary. And in the newer interpretation, it's a physical or non-physical space where learning and healing happens. So I think that's pretty great.
Yeah.
When Reverend Mary started talking today, the very first step about you have to take steps to success, I thought about, I grew up on a farm with no electricity, way in the boonies, and we had to prime the pump every morning, so we had to put the water in before we got the water out. And I thought, wow, that's just the perfect metaphor, isn't it? So I wanted to share that, and gratitude is one of the ways that we prime the pump. And a lot of spiritual teachers say if you do nothing else but say thank you or give thanks, that's the highest grease for those skis that you can find as you're going up and down the valleys and mountains of life. And so we have an invitation, we, the Temenos team and the global part of our GGCSL, and that is, first I want to say thank you to the beautiful altar that Joe made this morning, and Jet put that together, and
the partnership
table
back there,
and it's just beautiful. And we're doing the third breakfast potluck Thanksgiving gathering at Jet's house on Thanksgiving morning, and you will find back there information about it and places to sign up. And more than that is when Reverend Mary was talking about the importance of the interdependence, even though you personally may not have a relationship or a connection to someone in Ukraine, there's lots of people here who do. And there is a web, a net that is built over 17 years. And so we're inviting you to join us this year at Jet's home for the 18th annual sit-down Thanksgiving dinner, which is a new concept in Ukraine. We're inviting you to come and celebrate that tenacity and build the connection. So please come and see us at the table and join us for one of the greatest things there is, giving thanks in community and priming the pump. Yay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Oops. Okay. So the Extra Edge is Thursday, and this month, Reverend's... Oh, it's not at Phil's. It's at the... The what? The Rulli Cafe in Larkspur. That's where it is. Okay, you guys all know. And her theme is enjoy more peace and happiness through the practice of gratitude. And it really does expand the good in our lives to expand that practice of gratitude. So join Reverend Sarah And that will be this coming Thursday at 8 a.m. at the Ruley Cafe in Larkspur. All right. Julie wants to tell us about, and did you notice how full the bins are getting out there? The bins that we have collecting our food donations for the Marin Food Bank out there in the lobby. How many of you brought food this morning? Hold up your can. Hold up your can, your package, your gift. Oh, you already put it out there? Okay, well, so we're going to extend the wave of blessing out to the lobby. And I want you to take a look in there because our goal is to fill both of those up. We send these gifts, this food, with love to all those who are going to receive them and eat them, knowing that they go with all the energy and love of Golden Gate. And Julie, tell them about the process.
Thank you, Reverend Mary. The 400-pound challenge of the food drive will be to fill those 2 barrels in the lobby. How many of you have actually seen the barrels or put something in? Pretty much everybody. So if you come in the back way, please make a stop out there and deposit your can or cans. How many, well, some of you, I know, forgot to bring your bag that you had at home this morning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, several hands went up.
Put it in your trunk, maybe, when you get home, and then remember to get it from your trunk next Sunday. This is the second of 4 Sundays, and after the Sunday before Thanksgiving, the big trucks from the food bank will come pick up the barrels, hopefully overflowing by that time, and take it to the warehouse and use it for Thanksgiving and everyday benefit for our community. And I want to tell you that also, if bringing food is a nuisance or a problem in any way, you can also give online.
Yes.
There are flyers at the back where you can go to a link and get a donate button that you click there for your credit card. Every dollar, cash, check, or money order, well, not money order, they collect by the food bank turns into $5 worth of food because they buy in volume. So I encourage you to consider that. If you have friends or family who might be interested, they're welcome to participate too. And we've already had donations there. So thank you for everything you've done and will do, and onward with donations.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Wonderful. All right. Happy Thanksgiving is coming up. We're already in November, which I find shocking. If we have done community Thanksgivings hosted by somebody in the congregation in the past. If Spirit is tapping you on the shoulder saying you're the host or hostess, please let us know, because we want to let everybody know that they can come and celebrate with you at your place. The Holiday Art, Craft, and Gift Fair is coming up December 2nd and 9th. If you are interested in selling as a vendor, you're going to need a vendor form. And do we have those this morning? Okay, they're back at the events table, so you can pick one up. It gives you all the details there. Also, we're looking for additional welcome men and altar angels. You can talk to Karen Frost if you're interested in being an altar angel. Where's Karen this morning? Oh, rats. I saw her earlier. Okay. So let Ceci know if you're interested, and we'll make sure we get it to the right people. Okay. And for those of you who are members and are Scorpios, be sure to pick up your free birthday information over here so you can get a free session with a practitioner. Please stand and join me for the benediction. Oh, and quick start, shoot. I didn't do the slide. Quick Start is a wonderful introduction to our teaching, and it's 2 hours, and it's next Sunday at the Learning Center with Gail Durkin. Sign up at the education table, please, so we know how many people are coming. Thank you. And I do want to say thank you, Harry Potter, for coming to church this morning. Oh, yeah. And come here, Harry. Come here, Harry. We need to see you because you're quite impressive. This is Harry Potter. Woo! It's our first official visit from Hogwarts, and I'm pretty excited about that. So, Harry, thank you very much for coming. I'm impressed that you're here. And Bodhi wants to say one thing about his free CDs, too.
Just a quick, as you know, CDs are becoming historic, and they're going to gradually go away. So if you want to grab yours now, take them for Christmas presents. If you have Any donation you can leave in the basket, that's fine, but I definitely want to move them out so I don't have to throw them away like I did my cassettes. At a certain point I threw away hundreds of cassettes. And it'd be great to get them circulating, so if you have people who could use them as Christmas presents or you don't have them, grab a cassette, leave a few bucks in there if you want. Otherwise, please don't be, just take them and move them. So,
excellent. Great. And now we're going to say together, hallelujah, thank you, God, the benediction and the closing song. So please say this with me. I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and I and all people, I skipped something, and so it is. All right, you want to go grab it? You can go back and everything out. There we go. With every breath he survives. I know the joy of peace. I choose fear to release. Every moment love wakes up, and peace is every step. And peace is every step. Have a wonderful week. Go circulate, you're good.